Hey friends, thanks so much for stopping by and checking out my pine cone ornaments. I've been walking by this pine tree that fell probably 5 years ago, and I always look at the pine cones attached to it. Never gave it a thought until recently. I was like, what are you doing? Pick them up and make something out of them. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. I don't need to clean them or dry them, but I will leave some tips below in case you need to do that. I'm going to flock them, and I'm using some of the white Dollar Tree sand, and I'm just using some generic baby powder. I'm making a small batch, so I mixed a tablespoon of each together. Once that's done, I'm now using the Aleene's glue from the Dollar Tree. Because my pine cones are so dried out from sitting around for years, I'm using the glue directly from its container. I just dabbed it all around here and there, making sure I put enough on. And then when I was done, I took an old paintbrush and I just kind of painted it in all the little nooks and crannies. Then this part is so easy, I just rolled it around in my sand and baby powder mixture. When I was done, I gave it a couple of quick taps, and then I set it aside to let it dry. My pine cones are basically the same size, and I really did want to make a couple of different sizes. I had a couple of larger pine cones that I found at Michael's on clearance after Christmas last year, so I'm going to do the exact same procedure on these. I'm going to embellish 4 of them in different ways. So to start, I'm using some white rope that I had on hand, and I'm just going to knot it up, place some hot glue on the top of my dried pine cone, and I'm going to glue it into place. To make my bow on the top, I'm using some of the Dollar Tree Red Truck Christmas ribbon. I cut about a 12-inch piece, and then I folded it in half to find the center. After that, I just folded each side over, and when I found the center of the bow, I just kind of squished it up and then attached it together with a piece of my floral wire. I dovetailed the ends by folding them in half and cutting away at an angle. I cut off the excess wire and then glued my bow to the top of the pine cone. When I was done, I added one of the little red trucks from the Dollar Tree. I removed the hanger wire and then hot glued it to the front of the bow. What's Christmas without some jingle bells? So I used 2 of the silver bells from the Dollar Tree. And then all I did was, using that little piece of wire that I cut from the truck, I slipped the bells into it. And once my bells were attached to the wire, I just wrapped them around the little pine tree and attached them to the ornament. This was so quick and easy to make, and I think it came out so cute. For my next ornament, I used some of the Dollar Tree jute as the hanger, and once again, I just made a knot and hot glued it to the top. This ornament is a little more rustic. I used some of the burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I made 2 bows. When I was done, I once again dovetailed all of the ends. A while back, I made some rusty pins and bells from Dollar Tree supplies. So I'm going to be using some of those for this ornament. I hot glued the bells to the pine cone, letting them hang down on the front just a little bit. Once they were secured in place, I then added my simple burlap bow to the top. To fill out the top of this ornament, I did the exact same thing by adding the bow and the bells to the other side. For my next pine cone ornament, I'm adding on some of the Dollar Tree red pip berries. I hot glued them in place in front of my jute hanger. And then once again, I made a simple bow out of this sweet buffalo check ribbon. Dovetailed the ends and then set it aside. Before I attach my bow, I'm going to add 2 silver bells. I hot glued them in place and then added my buffalo check bow. For my last ornament, I once again added a white hanger. I made a pretty white bow out of ribbon, and I'm also adding on 2 gold bells. And once again, using my glue gun, I hot glued them in front of the hanger, and then I added my white bow. To add a little greenery, I'm using a holly leaf from this Dollar Tree flower bunch. I cut the holly leaf into 3 pieces, and then I hot glued it around the bow and the bells. Once I was done, I added these Dollar Tree red berries as an accent. I snipped them free from the stem, and then I added one on each piece of holly. I hope you enjoyed making these flocked pinecone ornaments. You can make them in so many different ways. They are super easy and inexpensive to make. Thanks again for stopping by and hanging out with me. And if you're new and you think, hey, I'd like to come back and hang out with her again, don't forget to click that little red subscribe button below. I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.